Hi, my name is Tiffany. Welcome to Present for Myself. Have you ever had to walk away from a relationship or a group or an organization and you knew that it was right that you had to walk away? Have you ever had to say no in a situation where you knew I'm right to say no about this? This person or these individuals have been taking advantage of me. This is not a good situation I am in. And then you walk away, you say no, you possibly end the relationship or you have to restructure it in some way. And then you begin to feel lonely. You begin to feel lonely and you begin to possibly regret the choice and the decision that you made, the boundaries that you've set. You start to feel like you're trapped behind the walls of your own boundaries rather than feeling liberated and feeling victorious and knowing that you've decided that you were going to come and see about yourself. If you've not, then hey, kudos to you. But I'm a real person. I'm a real individual. And sometimes you do feel that way. See, loneliness and being alone are two different things. Being alone is just simply the state of being by yourself. And I like being by myself. I'm an introvert, so I recharge in that alone time. I create in that alone time. I rest in that alone time. It doesn't mean that I don't like people and that I don't want to be around people. It just simply means that that's the way that I process life. And so I don't have a problem being alone. But loneliness is something that all of us have struggled with from time to time. Loneliness is the sadness and the despair that comes with being alone. Sometimes, if that being alone is not looked at the right way. Loneliness is more of an emotion. It's more of a feeling. Being alone is more of a state of being, and that's okay. Both are okay when processed correctly. And when you set boundaries, when you decide you're going to show up for yourself, when you decide you're going to be present for yourself, when you decide you're going to start saying no and stop people pleasing, when you decide that you're going to walk in a way that says, I'm going to care about my mental health before anything else, because if my mind goes, it all goes. See, you can give your heart to people, because even if you give your heart to people and they mess up, your mind will be like, let me tell you how we can get you back out of this situation. But you never give your mind away, because when they take your mind and they mess up your mind, your heart is like, I don't know what to do either. So when you decide, I don't mind a little bit of loneliness or a season of loneliness, if it means that I can stay mentally well, if it means that I can stay fit for life, for the life that I'm supposed to be living and for what I'm supposed to be giving and what I'm supposed to be contributing to this world, then loneliness will be something that you can deal with a little bit better. And it won't cost you getting back into situations and circumstances that did not serve you, where you were abused and mistreated, where you were taken advantage of, where you were gaslit and made to feel like something was wrong with you because you wanted a healthy commitment. You wanted healthy loyalty, not toxic loyalty. You wanted a relationship that was about give and receive, not give and take. You owe me because of what I've done for you. So loneliness will try to set in. When you set boundaries surrounding your well-being, it's not going to always be as easy as saying, I just need a little break or I want to go on vacation. For some of us, setting the boundaries surrounding our well-being means going no contact with people who we deeply love or who are supposed to deeply love us. For some of us, setting boundaries and deciding that we're going to see about ourselves so that we can be healthy and well and even be vibrant enough to be a part of community, it means telling people, I can't deal with you anymore, or I don't want to be in this anymore, or I refuse to be in this anymore. And that's a lot different from saying, I just need a little break, or I need a little vacation, or I need practice a little bit of self-care, isn't it? If you've ever walked away from a community or a marriage or a partnership or anything where you thought to yourself, this was supposed to be something that carried me through life, or I was supposed to be able to operate inside of all of this, then you know the feeling that I'm talking about. And some people try to act like they're not alone, or they try to act like they're not lonely when they actually are. They mask it as, oh, I'm just upset or I'm just bored. Call it what it is so that you can process through it, so that you can work through it. And if there are times that are coming up that are going to remind you of having been in those relationships and having been a part of that organization or that commitment, then plan ahead for that. Say, you know what? I know that that anniversary is coming up. I know that that birthday is coming up. It can be something that most people don't even think is an important or big deal. But if it is to you, then honor that and say, you know what, it's going to be coming up soon, but I'm going to find something else to do. I'm going to be creating during that time. Or maybe during that time, I'm going to schedule a therapy session for that particular day. Or maybe during that time, I'm going to be, having a gratitude day for what has now happened in my life, for what I do have. And for some of us, it's going to be, I'm going to be okay to sit with that. I'll have, someone that I trust on speed dial, or I'll, have something that I can do in the interim that's going to have my attention so that I don't have to think about that or process it. But for the most part, some of us may have to just sit with it for a minute. You know why? Because I would much rather have the peace that will come after the healing and the processing than to keep going back and romanticizing and ruminating about something that was not what loneliness will paint it out to be. See, loneliness will gaslight you. It will make you think that things were better than they were. You'll begin to remember differently. And how many times have you decided it wasn't that bad? Maybe it was just me. Maybe I am too sensitive. Maybe I am too difficult. Who am I to demand respect? Who am I to demand to be treated like someone who's important? I mean, come on. Everybody has bad relationships. I'm going to call them. I'm going to see if I can go back. And then you go back and it's worse. You go back and the taunting is worse. The abuse is worse. The gaslighting is worse. The ignoring is worse. The emotional unavailability is worse. The disrespect is worse. The promotion still doesn't come, even after you'd been there 10 years before and you didn't get one. And now you're back sitting at that same desk, doing that same job, being disrespected even more because you went back. This is not to make anyone feel bad or feel like, everybody doesn't have the same opportunities and options. And so some of us have to stick around and that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about when you have gotten the courage and you've moved forward and you've moved on. When you've acknowledged that, hey, you know what, I might be codependent and I might need to get some help with that. When you've acknowledged that I think I was addicted to that situation, or maybe I just didn't think highly enough of myself. And so when I finally made that breakout, I'm going to fill it with something better. I'm going to fill it with support. I'm going to fill it with people who acknowledge who I am and they respect me accordingly. I'm going to go after what I deserve and not what I was told that I deserve, or convinced or believed that I deserved, or was raised thinking I deserved, and so I never looked for better. I want you to understand that you are important, and you are important whether you're by yourself or you're feeling lonely. I don't ever want you to walk around thinking that your whole existence is dependent upon another person or a group or an organization or a community. Yes, community is important. It's good to commune with your fellow human beings, but you need to be in a healthy community. You need to be in a community where you can serve and give and be validated and loved and supported. Yes, it is wonderful to be in a partnership, in a union, in a marriage, whatever you want to call it. But it is a beautiful thing when it's healthy and it's supportive and it's give and receive and not give and take, or give and you owe me, or you owe me, so give it to me. Yeah. I had a lot of notes, but these are the notes from my heart, from my experience and some of my education. Please set boundaries for yourself. Do so. Do so with the understanding that, yes, you may experience that victorious feeling of, I did it. I said no. I walked away. But also do so with the understanding that some loneliness may set in. Do so with the understanding that you might actually be ostracized by the people that told you that they loved you and cared about you. You might be in a space now where you understand just how much of a black sheep you really were. When you get the mental health help that you need and deserve, when you begin to sit with yourself and say, I never really deserved what I was put through. When you begin to administer light and love to your inner child, you'll feel that loneliness for a season. And if that season becomes longer than it needs to be, then please make sure that you get the support and help you need through a mental health crisis or helpline, or just through counseling, therapy, and everything doesn't have to necessarily be formalized therapy. Sometimes you can do things that are therapeutic. It just depends. I was talking to my therapist one time, and I was told, because, I deal with anxiety and I have no problem admitting that. I feel like if you're going to, the reason I chose my therapist is because my therapist told me that she dealt with anxiety. And I was like, yo, I like the fact that, you're willing to admit that. I heard someone say one time, I'm gifted to teach about it and to give insight, but I have to work just as hard as everyone else. And if all of us were humble enough to admit that there's none perfect amongst us. There is no one who walks this earth just perfect, with no issues and no challenges, and that never experiences loneliness, and that has never felt excluded or left out, and that has never had to make a choice that caused them to be different. If you are walking around and everybody agrees with you and everything you do, everybody loves, then you need to check yourself, because everybody ain't going to always agree with everything you do. There might be some people pleasing going on there. But I won't get into all of that. I wanted to talk to you today. I wanted to tell you about loneliness. I wanted to tell you that it's a sadness and it's a despair, and it can be an anxiety, and it can be all those things brought on by the fact that you think and feel as if you have no one, or you'll never have someone, because you decided to walk away from a table that love was no longer being served at, because you've decided that you deserve better. But I'm here to tell you that there's peace on the other side of all of that. There is a peace in knowing that you don't have to keep putting up with being made to feel like something is the matter with you, when in all actuality, you walk away from dysfunction. So yeah, there is a loneliness that can come with setting boundaries and with practicing radical self-care. Yeah, being alone and being lonely are two different things. Both can serve you. Loneliness can teach you where you don't want to find yourself. And loneliness can cause you to walk a path that says, I don't ever want to find myself out here like this again. So I'll make a commitment to be in better relationships going forward. And if I can't, then I'd rather be alone. I don't wish loneliness upon anyone. And if you're feeling lonely at this time, I want you to really think about why it is, especially as it pertains to you having walked away and you're being the one that had to make the choice to do so. When you're the one that makes the choice because you know that it's the healthiest thing for you, sometimes, like I said before, you might feel gaslit. Sometimes you might be ostracized. Sometimes people might look down their nose at you and go, well, what makes you think you're so good that you don't have to put up with the same things that we do? And then you can just look at them and say, you know what? I've decided that I want to be present for myself. Even if you don't understand, and even if no one else will. I came into this world as myself, and I want to leave as myself, not as a people pleaser, not as a person who has to prove that I can take it to the point almost of death so that other people can feel good about themselves, not as a person who sets myself on fire to keep the world warm. But I want to leave as myself, my authentic self. And in order to do that, I have to move in authenticity. And I have to be honest with myself. And if a season of loneliness has to come in order for me to make these choices, I don't necessarily welcome it, but I'll process it for this time. And I'll get better, and I'll be better. Keep being present for yourself.
Sometimes when we don't know the words we hum,